Have you ever walked away from a difficult consultation and thought, why did I react like that? Or maybe early in your career or doing a procedure for the first time, your heart rate rose and your hands started to tremor. And the more that you noticed it, the worse it got. You knew the nurse could see the tremor, and that awareness made you even more stressed. And suddenly you're stuck in this loop. If you recognize that, this video is for you, because that reaction isn't a confidence issue or a competence issue, it's just physiology. And the important thing is this: there is a way to interrupt it in real time. Hi, I'm Dr. Finbar McGrady. On this channel, I share mindset tools and real stories that help you grow, respond, and thrive in medicine. When we're under pressure, we can deliberately influence our nervous system. Specifically, we can use our breath to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the system responsible for slowing down heart rate, reducing muscle tension, and restoring fine motor control, and bringing back clear thinking. It's about maintaining control and performance under stress. This is the same principle used by elite performers in other high-stake environments, including Navy SEALs, who use controlled breathing patterns such as box breathing, which we'll talk about later, to stay calm, focused, and effective in life-threatening situations. Medicine has borrowed a lot from the aviation industry, things like checklists, human factors, and team communication, because both fields involve high-stakes decision-making under pressure. This is no different. If deliberate breathing is good enough for people making split-second decisions under fire, it's good enough for difficult consultations or high-pressure procedures in medicine. To understand why this works, let's briefly revise what's happening physiologically. When we perceive threat, whether that's physical or emotional, the amygdala activates. That switches on the sympathetic nervous system. Your heart rate will rise, the breathing becomes more shallow, and muscle tone increases, adrenaline, cortisol are released. The fight, flight, or freeze response has been activated. Now that evolved to keep us alive, good for back in the day if we were being chased by a tiger, but not useful these days if you're in the middle of a consultation, a meeting, or performing a procedure. The amygdala doesn't distinguish between physical danger, professional threats, or emotional challenges. So things like a patient complaint, a colleague challenging you, or an unexpected complication. It's the same physiological response. And once the sympathetic system dominates the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for judgment and perspective and impulse control, it stops working properly. So when you react, your choices are limited by a narrowed physiological state. Let's go back to that procedural example at the beginning. So your heart rate rises, your hand starts to tremor, but the tremor isn't the main problem. The problem is the awareness of the tremor. Now, the moment that you think, oh, someone can see this, the sympathetic system is activated and this escalates the whole thing. Your heart rate increases further, your grip tightens, your fine motor control deteriorates, and you've entered into a positive feedback loop. Now, at that point, trying to just keep on pushing through often makes it worse. And this is where creating space really matters. Right there, not afterwards. So how do we actually use the breath to interrupt this? The first thing to be clear about is this. This is not something you need to do all day long. This is something that you deploy at specific decision-making moments where what you do next really matters. Those moments include just before you're speaking, when you're feeling defensive, just before you answer someone back, or when you feel rushed, or just before the next movement in a procedure, just before escalating a conversation, just before replying to an email that you really want to fire back. Now here's the crucial part, and this is the bit that many people miss. You have to notice the stress in your body at that moment. It's no good afterwards thinking, oh, I should have waited, I should have done the pause, I should have done the breathing thing there. It's too late. By then, the reaction has already happened. So this is about recognizing your cues early. For you, that might be the tremor in your hand, It might be a tightening in your chest. It might be a change in your breathing. It could even be a little voice in your head getting louder or more defensive. Those signs are not the problem. They are the cue. They're your nervous system telling you this is the decision point. Activate the breath now. That's where you need to pause. You don't need to pause for long, just long enough to stop the escalation. Now is the moment to use your breath deliberately. Here are two options for how to use the breath. First of all is simple parasympathetic activation. Now this is the fastest one, and you can do it without anyone even noticing. So what you do is, after you've paused, you breathe in through your nose for a count of 4 slowly, a brief pause at the top, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. The longer exhale directly stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. Physiologically, what follows is predictable. Heart rate starts to slow, muscle tension reduce, tremor dampens. The prefrontal cortex then comes back online. It may take a few of these breaths, but at least start with one. It's regaining control of the parasympathetic system. The second tool is box breathing. This is the one used by the Navy SEALs that I mentioned earlier. And this is useful when your stress is sustained for longer. So you inhale for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 4, you exhale for a count of 4, and you hold for a count of 4 again. You can repeat a few cycles or as many as you like. I like to do it in the car on the way to and from work as a bit of a reset. This creates a nervous system regulation again. Physiology, not psychology. The same principle applies in conversations. If a patient's challenging you and you feel the urge building to explain or justify or correct them, that urge is the moment to pause. That's the signal. Not because you don't know what you're going to say next, but because whatever you say next might be shaped just by how your nervous system is at that moment. So if you speak while you're activated, you escalate that interaction. You might make it worse. But if you pause, do the breath, and then speak, your tone can change. You use fewer words. The consultation often de-escalates. It's the same conversation, but you have a different physiological state. And this is where agency lives, or your control of the situation. We can't always stop the sympathetic system from activating. That's kind of a natural thing. But what we can do is choose how to activate the parasympathetic system to balance things again. That's taking responsibility. Responsibility. Every time you do this successfully, then you reinforce something to yourself important. You tell yourself that I can stay in control under pressure. Now that's confidence earned through experience. That's belief built at a psychological level. Now, this is a small skill with a disproportionate impact. One pause, one breath before the next move. Now, in the next video, I throw 3 steps to build confidence at work. And so you can check that out in the link attached. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like and share this with others so that we can spread the word to help other doctors who are struggling gain control of their work and joy in life again.